In a quiet village by the river, there lived a boy named Jack who loved to drum. One day, a traveler arrived with a golden drum. The drum's beats were magical, making crops grow and bringing rain. Jack begged to play it. The traveler agreed but warned, promised to return it by sunset. Jack eagerly promised and took the drum to the riverbank, where he drummed all day. The villagers marveled, and Jack felt proud. But as sunset neared, he thought, what harm could one more day do? He broke his promise and kept the drum. The next morning, the drum turned into a stone, the crops withered, and the rain stopped. Seeing the damage, the traveler returned and said, promises are like this drum. When kept, they create harmony. When broken, they bring ruin. Never break your promises, Jack. Keeping them builds trust and makes you credible. Jack learned his lesson and vowed to keep every promise from that day forward. Never break your promises. Keep every promise. It makes you credible. There once was a man who always ran to his village priest whenever he faced a challenge. The first time his farmland was destroyed by a raging fire, distraught, he went to the priest. "Father, my crops are gone. How will I feed my family?" he lamented. The priest calmly replied, "Thank God, my son. If this didn't happen, do you know the worst that could have happened?" The man left confused and unsatisfied. Another time, thieves broke into his home and stole his belongings. Again, he complained to the priest. The priest said, "Thank God, if this didn't happen, do you know the worst that could have happened?" One day, the man was rushing to attend a job interview with a prestigious company. Just as he was about to board a bus, he fell into a gutter, broke his leg, and was rushed to the hospital. Devastated, he lost the opportunity. The priest visited him and said, "Thank God, my son. If this didn't happen, do you know the worst that could have happened?" This time, the man lost his temper. "Leave me alone, Father. You always rejoice at my pain," he shouted and sent the priest away. 3 days later, still in the hospital, he heard devastating news. The bus he intended to board was in a fatal accident and no one survived. Tears filled his eyes as he realized God had saved him. He finally understood the priest's words. In all situations, give thanks, for what seems bad may be God's way of protecting you. John had always envisioned becoming wealthy and successful. He frequently offered his friends advice on investing, discussed luxurious cars, and talked about the exotic destinations he hoped to visit. However, for the time being, John worked as a waiter, earning just enough to share a flat with 2 roommates. He spent his earnings on fashionable clothes and social nights with his friends. One day, while waiting at the bus stop because he couldn't afford a car, a man sat beside him. John noticed the man's stylish attire and complimented him, saying, "Nice shoes." The man appreciated the compliment, and John began to share his insights on how to make money. The man listened carefully and then asked, "Have you invested in anything yourself? Or how are you working toward achieving your dreams?" John fell silent, realizing he wasn't taking any action to turn his dreams into reality. At that moment, a limousine arrived. The man stood up, looked at John, and said, "The key you're searching for is in the work you're avoiding." He then entered the limousine and drove off. John sat there reflecting deeply and realized that although he had big dreams, he wasn't putting in the effort to make them a reality. From that day on, John changed his perspective. He began to set clear goals and work diligently to reach them. He saved his money and became more knowledgeable about investing. He came to understand that success was built on hard work and perseverance, not just wishful thinking. Every morning, Amina woke up feeling like yesterday's mistakes were too heavy to fix. She had a plant that had stopped growing, much like her spirit. One day, she decided to give the plant just a little water. "What's the use?" she thought, but she poured it anyway. The next day, she watered it again. Slowly, her small effort became a daily ritual. As the days turned into weeks, her simple habit transformed into hope. Each drop of water was a step toward change, both for the plant and for her heart. And then, one ordinary day, the plant blossomed. Amina realized something profound. Every day is a chance to nurture growth, to embrace change. Every morning brings a new beginning, a chance to make that perfect change. What will you choose to grow today? A homeless man sat on the cold pavement, clutching a cardboard sign that read, "Hungry, please help." His clothes were tattered, and his face bore the weight of countless hard days. Nearby, a young girl stood by a bus stop, tears streaming down her cheeks. She clutched her small backpack, looking lost and frightened. The man noticed her and called out gently, "Hey, little one, what's wrong?" The girl hesitated but finally spoke through her sobs. "I lost my bus money, and my mom's waiting for me. I don't know what to do." The man reached into his pocket, feeling the crumpled dollar bill he had saved for his next meal. He stared at it for a moment, then smiled softly and handed it to her. "Here," he said, "take this and get home safe." The girl's eyes widened. "But what about you?" "I'll be fine," he replied with a warm smile. "Just promise me one thing. When you're able to, help someone else who needs it." The girl nodded, clutching the dollar tightly, and gave him a quick hug before running to catch her bus. Years passed. The man remained on the streets, his life a daily struggle. One day, as he sat in the same spot, a sleek black car pulled up beside him. The window rolled down, and a well-dressed woman stepped out. "Excuse me," she said, her voice familiar yet mature. "Do you remember me?" The man squinted, confused, until she held up a framed photograph of a young girl hugging a homeless man. "You helped me when I was a child," she said, smiling. "That $1 changed my life. Now it's my turn to help you." Before he could respond, she opened the car door. "Come on, let's get you home." That evening, the man sat at a dining table in a warm house, a hot meal in front of him and tears in his eyes. The woman sat across from him, beaming. Kindness, he realized, always finds its way back.